Today, I would like to show you 70 ingenious projects I've built around my house that you can easily replicate on your own property. In fact, what I want to do over the next few minutes is hand you the exact plans and step-by-step instructions with pictures and videos for each one of them. You'll also receive a list of materials needed for every project and where you can order them as cheaply as possible. Projects like the scalable rainwater catchment system that automatically filters water, a simple stove adjustment that gives you free hot water at the faucet, and an off-grid shower you can connect to it. Then there's the smokeless smokehouse that preserves meat and cheese as you cook your everyday meals, a portable hydro generator, the DIY no-grid air conditioning, a little project for making pure water out of thin air, a PVC hand pump for take advantage of water beneath your property, the high-yield raised beds that you can build in under an hour, an inexpensive solar panel setup that can power a regular fridge 24/7, a TV, and a laptop at the same time as well, and the battery bank to store any surplus energy for other appliances. There's also the perpetual backyard aquaponics system that can provide food even in the darkest of days, a cool stone oven that you can add to your backyard, a zero-waste toilet, the off-grid refrigerator, and the food-growing fence. Just to name a few of the over 70 backyard projects I've built myself and that you can take advantage of today. I'm also going to share with you some very important home projects that every person should know to be safe and be able to protect his or her own family in times of economic crisis, long-term blackouts, riots, hyperinflation, hurricanes, or other unforeseen events that may come our way. I am talking about the only 5 long-lasting survival superfoods that you really need to know. How to set up automated traps for small game animals, birds, and garden pests. How to make and set up a tripwire alarms on your property against looters who may want to rob you while you're asleep. How to operate a ham radio during an emergency. Keep fuel good for years. Plant a complete backyard medicinal garden. These simple but clever projects were developed to keep your loved ones well fed and healthy during dark times, when many others will be chewing on their leather belts, freezing in their beds, or fighting tooth and nail over a piece of moldy bread to feed their starving children. But the most important thing about these projects is that they make you independent and self-sufficient on your own property. You don't want to have to depend on the power companies, supermarkets, or anyone else. There's an extraordinary feeling of peace and accomplishment when you produce everything that you need on your property. I don't know if you've seen this, but prices go up and they'll never go back down. With these price increases that will never stop, it only makes sense financially to start producing some of the stuff you need at home instead of making other people rich. All the projects I'm about to show you are extremely cheap to make. As you'll see, I've used spare parts for most of them. In fact, these projects are best suited for people who don't have much and want to save money, rather than for the very wealthy who don't care about the monthly bills. They do not require a lot of time to build. I'm working a full-time job. I have a family to spend time with, so you can make these projects in your spare time too. When you start a project and focus on it, the stress that has built up in your life begins to fade away. A lot of people turn it into a hobby, and they often involve their family too. It can be a fun weekend activity. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, young or old. It's never too late or too soon to start being more self-sufficient or being more prepared. There is also not a lot of physical work involved in most of these projects, as we will work smarter, not harder. Hi, my name is Michael Major, and I am a 40-year-old father of 2. I proudly served my country for 7 years as an infantry soldier, spending almost 7 months overseas as a NATO peacekeeper. After my time in the Army, I became a welder fabricator working in the aerospace field. During that time, I built many parts and tools for Boeing. As you can imagine, in the aerospace industry, there is no room for error, so I had to become precise to the 10th degree in everything that I did. What I discovered is that with any project, it's often the smallest details that make the greatest difference. This is why all my instructions and sketches are extremely precise, without leaving anything out, so that anyone can rebuild them easily. Not like those instructions from IKEA where you have to guess some of the steps yourself. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be at the mercy of others. I want to be able to protect myself, my wife, and my 2 boys, no matter what is happening around us. And I want to be able to do this safely at home, because in a collapsed world, once you leave your home, you're at the mercy of others. This is what happened to many people in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. The storm lasted just a day, but the real survival had just started. People were locked in the Superdome without being allowed to leave for days. There was no water, no food, and limited electricity. Dead people were lying on the floor, Hopeless mothers were forced to watch their babies starve and dehydrate in their arms without being able to help them. Regular people like you and me were bullied, and looters just took what they could. Imagine having a big bucket of MREs or any food if you in a place like this. How long till someone grabbed it? Gangs were formed, and you could hear the screams of girls being raped at night. Many of these gangs wandered to concourse, stealing food and attacking anyone who stood up to them. But it was the seniors who were most vulnerable and the most preyed upon. Many people left important things like medication, water, and food reserves at home, expecting the government to provide, and when that didn't happen, they tried to get back home but weren't allowed to. One night, a National Guardsman got jumped. His attacker hit him with a metal rod taken from a cot. A violent free-for-all riot seemed sure to break out with the next bit of bad news. Fortunately, the things stopped there. The situation only lasted 5 days before the Superdome was evacuated. But what do you think would have happened if this went on for weeks or months? Or if it had been a countrywide event involving millions of people, not just a few thousand? I never want to find out what surviving in the long term in a FEMA camp looks like, but I think we got a glimpse of how it would start by looking at what happened at the Superdome. Some people like to joke calling them FEMA concentration camps, but I don't think they're far from the truth. If you doubt that such a collapse can happen, I have personally seen the aftermath of a country torn apart and thrust into chaos while the rest of the world carried on normally. I was a peacekeeper in Bosnia, and I've seen firsthand what a post-collapse society looks like. What I realized is that instead of leaving my home and risking my family's lives, most of the time it's simply better to be able to produce everything you need at home, from electricity to food and water. The last thing you want during dark times is to find yourself depending on others for basic needs. If an electromagnetic pulse were to hit America, it would leave us in darkness, destroying everything that uses even the slightest amount of electricity. From refrigerators, mobile phones, computers, generators, ATMs, nuclear power plants, and the whole grid. Cars and trucks will come to a standstill as the pulse fries their circuits that are used to start the engine. When these stop, that is when the real problem starts. Walmart has only 3 days worth of supplies. That will probably run out in hours. They will never be restocked. The Congressional EMP Commission has warned many times that 9 out of 10 Americans could die from starvation and societal collapse from a nationwide blackout lasting only 1 year. They estimate that the best case scenario, power could be restored at a decent level in 2 years if every other country in the world helped produce the big transformers that get destroyed by an EMP. It's like something out of a horror movie, only it'll be real and on your doorstep. What are you going to do when the food runs out? Decent people turn into ruthless looters, stealing any food they can and hurting anyone who gets between them and their next meal. The zombies you see in the movies will actually exist. There'll be the millions of abnormally thin and weak, starving people begging for food. Diseases that are rare and easily treated today will spread like wildfire as corpses pile up in the streets and antibiotics vanish off the shelves. An EMP is one of the worst crises I can imagine, and the only way you can survive this kind of countrywide collapse is by becoming self-sufficient on your own property without advertising it to your neighbors. But besides protecting you from a crisis, becoming more self-sufficient has other immediate payoffs. You'll get an extraordinary sense of fulfillment, security, and if I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of pride and self-confidence too. When you wake up in the morning and see all the projects you've built with your own hands, producing free electricity, collecting and filtering water, protecting your property, and filling up your pantry and your medicine cabinet, you'll know how it feels to be really independent and not owe anybody a thing. The money you save each month adds up over time, so most of these projects will pay for themselves and in fact turn you a small profit afterwards. It is this investment that pays dividends for a lifetime. In my case, the journey was as rewarding as the final result. Most of these projects take only hours to complete, and if you involve your family, will go much faster. You also get a chance to do something meaningful together. These projects are extremely easy to make, and you will not be on your own. We will build them together. I will be showing you everything you need to do. I made videos for each project showing you how I did it, and all you need to do is follow me step by step from start to finish. I also printed all these instructions with pictures along the way, with materials needed and where to get them cheap, as well as links where you can order the exact same materials I used. This way, there's no room for error, as we are all using the same stuff. I chose to save all these projects in a physical book because in a blackout or after an EMP, the videos alone will not do you any good as you will not have access to them. Today, I would like to mail you this book called No Grid Survival Projects and also give you lifetime access to the videos. For every project, you will find at the very beginning the cost of materials, the difficulty level, and the time needed to complete it. That way, you will have every piece of information you need from the get-go so you can plan ahead. So here are some things you'll find inside No Grid Survival Projects. You'll discover how to create an ingenious rainwater harvesting system capable of storing 165 gallons of water that would otherwise just go to waste. Because the water is stored vertically, it's also pressurized by gravity, and you'll be able to use it without a pump or a siphon. This project took me about 3 hours to complete, and you could use it for a lifetime to irrigate your garden. And if you connect it to the water filter I'm about to show you, you can build this water filter in less than 30 minutes by using 3 empty buckets stacked on top of each other. The irony in the aftermath of Katrina is that even if people were surrounded by water as far as the eye could see, many almost dehydrated to death as that water was dirty and unsafe. You'll discover how to make your own wind turbine and take advantage of the free wind trespassing in your property each day, using either an Amatec DC motor or even better, salvage motors of electric scooters, segways, treadmill motors, or fan motors of car engines. You'll also find out how to make one of the most powerful survival foods known to man. Pemmican was invented by the indigenous peoples of North America to preserve meat without refrigeration. It's a very high energy food made out of ground meat, rendered fat, and woodland berries. Just half a pound of pemmican provides your body with almost 2,000 calories. Another easy but extremely rewarding project you'll discover is the wall hanging herb garden. This is how you can turn your idle fence into a hidden but beautiful garden. You can make it from wooden planters or even discarded pallets. Even people looking over the fence would not see it. You'll discover how to protect yourself and your family from looters that can surprise you in your sleep. Preventing someone from entering your home starts at the property line. You'll need to set up traps, like the hidden razor blade wire, the camouflage spike trap, or the tripwire alarm that wakes you up when someone is sneaking up on you. I'm going to teach you how to build an oven that cooks without fire, fuel, smoke, or smell. The last one is very important to avoid in a collapsed society, as you don't want a hungry mob smelling their way to your property. One of the most important projects you'll find inside the book is called a backyard power plant. This is an independent DIY solar energy system that's designed to keep a small fridge, TV, and a laptop running during a blackout or after an EMP. This type of system makes most sense to me because the solar panels, the battery bank, and all other components would not be affected by an EMP directly as they have no circuits within. You can also use the backyard power plant to keep the lights on, charge your phone, run air conditioning, and keep other critical appliances alive in a grid down situation. A diesel or propane generator makes a lot of noise that will attract unwanted attention. And the fuel for a 20 kilowatt generator costs around $200 a day. That would be around $6,000 a month if you used it each day. On the other hand, backyard power plant costs nothing to operate. In the detailed videos and chapter dedicated to building this ingenious system, you'll see where to buy the most reliable and inexpensive components, from solar panels to inverters and controllers, and how to assemble and wire everything correctly, even if your electrical skills are non-existent. You'll know exactly what batteries to buy for the battery bank and how to draw power so that it never runs dry, even if the sky stays cloudy for a few days in a row. Once the backyard power plant is complete, there's minimal maintenance work involved. Solar panels have a long life unless they're hit by hail or shot at with bullets. And to avoid all that, I'll give you a way to keep them hidden and install them only when you need the power they'll generously provide for free. I even made the battery bank mobile, so you can easily move it around when and where you need it. I'll also show you how to make a simple water heater that provides you with free hot water every time you use your stove. This heating coil, as I call it, can be made and added to any stove in under an hour, and will give you hot water for life. If you choose to connect it to the off-grid shower, you'll have an off-grid hot water shower. Another project you'll find inside is a recycled off-grid shower. You can make this either using cracked or damaged IBCs that have no more use, or 2 wooden pallets and a plastic sheet. So even if there's no running water, you can still take a shower while your neighbors are pouring buckets of water over their heads. I'm also going to share with you how you can easily build and install 2 simple snares to catch wild animals. Trapping can prove to be far more efficient means of food gathering than hunting, and it gives you time to focus on more important things for survival. Let me ask you something. How do you make a propane tank heat your home forever? You turn it into a cool off-grid stove that can warm a few rooms or help you cook when the power goes out. During snowstorms and winter blackouts that last for days or weeks, wouldn't you prefer to huddle with your family around a cozy, crackling fire instead of shivering and shaking under a blanket, praying for the power company to come fix things? You'll also discover how to make the food that fed Christopher Columbus on his maiden voyage to America, and Union soldiers during the Civil War. How would you feel having this food that lasts a lifetime without refrigeration to feed your family for the next crisis? I'm also going to show you how you can legally turn your CB car radio into a powerful transmitter, capable of emitting and receiving communication from hundreds of miles away. After an EMP, this will be one of the only sources of communication left, giving you an important tactical advantage and access of vital information. You'll also discover exactly how to add an SHTF medicinal garden on a small 96 square feet piece of land that's sitting idle in your backyard. Wouldn't it be great to have on hand the most powerful legal natural painkiller, the anti-inflammatory herb, the most sought after medicinal plant in crisis-stricken Venezuela, the plant that stops bleeding fast, the backyard antibiotic that some people compare to doxycycline, the stomach band-aid, the plant people with type 2 diabetes should be adding to their meals, the herb that helps you fall asleep, the plant that calms the mind and decreases anxiety, and many more to choose from. This chapter was written by Amber Robinson, a certified herbalist who has been making and using her own natural remedies for decades while helping thousands of people along the way. It's no secret that in a crisis, the medical system can be put under enormous strain or even collapse altogether. So having a way to treat yourself at home becomes absolutely vital. Another chapter written by Amber will show you how to identify and put to good use the most powerful wild remedies growing all over North America. Inside No Grid Survival Projects, you'll find out how to build the Stairway to Heaven trap for rats and other small pests. It's an ingenious way to get rid of them without harming or killing them. You'll also discover how to turn a simple plastic bottle into an efficient device that traps wasps, hornets, and mosquitoes, and how to use dishwashing liquids to get rid of fruit flies. I'm also going to show you how to make the Lazy Man's hand pump that you can use either when the electric pumps stop working or for your daily needs. The materials for the hand pump only cost $17.50, so I see no reason why you shouldn't give it a go. You'll also discover how to make a small indoor greenhouse where you can start seedlings for your vegetable or medicinal garden. You can also use it to keep warmth-loving plants alive during the winter. Temperature, humidity, moisture, just a few of the important variables that you can fine-tune with this indoor greenhouse that nobody besides you and your family will know about. I'm also going to show you how to make a solar dehydrator from plywood to dry out and preserve fruits and vegetables without electricity. This one uses a little-known trick to concentrate sunlight to cut down the time it takes to dry things. I'm also going to show you how to build a cheap but resilient self-sustaining greenhouse to grow extra food and shelter warmth-loving plants when the temperatures plummet. Tending to your greenhouse plants can be extremely rewarding, but in a crisis, it becomes a necessity. You'll also find out how to make your own hydroelectric generator that can turn flowing water into electricity around the clock. A river doesn't stop flowing. Unlike the wind, which sometimes stops blowing, it does not become obstructed by clouds like the sun. So this endless water energy is really one of the most reliable that you can tap into. This small water generator I'll help you build can be adjusted and scaled up to become a consistent battery bank supplier and power your home appliances. I'm also going to show you how to add a smokeless smokehouse to your backyard, which will allow you to preserve food without refrigeration or drawing unwanted attention. As long as there is no smoke and almost no smell coming out, you can be sure that neither looters nor bears will come to steal any of your ham, sausages, cheese, or other goodies you've hung inside your new smokehouse. In this book, I'll show you how you can make pure water out of thin air by building a small condensation device. It works especially well in the summer. The warmer the weather outside, the more water vapor is available in the air for your device to gobble up. Imagine still having this endless source of drinking water in your house, even if the tap goes dry. You'll learn how to add the Easy Harvest raised beds with a hoop house to your garden as well. Your plants will thank you for protecting them from pests and bad weather by growing faster and larger to provide you with more calories and nutrients. This project is for you if you don't have time to tend a big garden or don't want to work hard or bend down a lot gardening, but you do want to produce extra food with minimal space and effort. You'll also learn how to make what I like to call the poor man's Faraday cage to protect vital electronics such as a cell phone or radio from the effects of a high altitude EMP or solar storm that takes out the whole grid or just a part that provides power in your area. You'll also find out how to make your own quick setup aquaponics farm that produces 5 times more food than regular gardens. It needs no fertilization and is disaster proof. This is a system that many bunkers have to produce food inside. This setup consumes only 8% of the water used in conventional gardening, as none of it goes in the ground. The water takes nutrients from the plants feeding the fish, makes them grow faster, while the fish provides natural fertilizer that is much needed for the plants, making them flourish. This system produces food for years and is independent of the weather, as you can keep it both inside or outside of the house. You'll also discover how to make an ingenious no-grid air conditioning unit that you can use even if the power's out. So how would you like to be able to stay inside during the hot summer months and not break a sweat thanks to this invention? These are just a few of the more than 70 no-grid survival projects that you'll find inside the book. You'll also discover a simple gadget that you can install to make your home or car EMP proof. The overnight fish trap, how to preserve eggs without refrigeration, how to make a meal in a bag, the off-grid washing machine, an ingenious way to get power out of dead batteries, the only 7 seeds you need to stockpile for a crisis, a mini backyard root cellar, the layman's guide to operating a ham radio, canning Amish poor man's steak, how to dry and preserve meat, DIY rocket stove, dandelion bread, how to charge your mobile phone when there's no electricity, and others just as useful in a world without power. And if you decide to act right now and take advantage of all the projects found inside this book, I'm going to give you 3 additional bonuses for free. The first bonus is called How to Outlive an EMP the Early Pioneer Way. This is a day-by-day guide that shows you exactly what to do after an EMP every day for 30 days straight using the survival skills of our ancestors. Think about it this way. If an EMP had struck in the late 1800s, no one would have noticed it. Our great-grandparents didn't even know what an EMP was, nor did they know what modern technology was. But they surely lived, survived, and prospered without it. So in this report, you'll learn the 10 things you should do on day 1, what to make early in the morning on day 2, what you definitely need to turn to on day 3, and so on until day 30, when you'll be absolutely 100% self-sufficient, protected, and able to help others if you so desire. The second bonus is 75 items you need to stockpile before a collapse. And I think you should check this list immediately to see which items you're still missing, because you'll probably won't be able to get them in a crisis. Many are very counterintuitive, but still easily obtainable today. Stockpile them for survival as a precious bartering commodities. The third bonus you'll receive is how to make an herbal apothecary. You'll need this for the extremely detailed instructions on how to build your own natural pharmacy from scratch using the plants grown in your medicinal garden or the ones you forage around your house. So today, if you get no-grid survival projects, you'll also receive these 3 exclusive bonuses that normally cost €27 each, completely free. Calling a plumber, an electrician, or any other professional handyman to fix stuff for you will cost between €50 and €100 an hour, which will add up. At the same time, if you were to hire a company to set up a solar panel system for you, they'll charge you 3 times more than if you were to install it yourself, paying only for materials. And they would do something that you can easily do following the steps laid out in no-grid survival projects. Now, if you don't care at all about money, then think about it this way. With the same amount of money, you can have a solar system that is 3 times bigger, producing 3 times more electricity if you install it yourself. And this is true for every project. Why pay money you work hard for when you can easily do it yourself? Plus, many of these projects cannot be found anywhere else but here, and they were designed with a single purpose in mind, to help you survive in the dark times and become self-sufficient. So today, you can get no-grid survival projects on your bookshelf, the videos showing the footage of each step outlined in the book, how to outlive an EMP the early pioneer way, 75 items that you need to stock before a collapse, how to make a herbal apothecary, access to the members area, and 24/7 support, all for a one-time payment of just €36. That is less than hiring a handyman for half an hour. He wouldn't even have time to get to work properly before he had to leave. The only way to take advantage of this unique offer is to click the Add to Cart button below now. It's obvious that these projects will save you much more than the price of this book. I'm talking about the money you pay each month on electricity, water, food, medicine, and most of these things you can easily produce yourself. These savings will add up month after month. But to make things easier, if you are still on the fence, you are also covered by my 60-day money-back guarantee. Browse through the book, watch the videos, and if you decide this is not for you, just send us an email at support@nogridprojects.com. and we will refund you every penny, no questions asked. You cannot lose money on this investment. Even then, you get to keep the digital version of the book, the videos, and the bonuses. All we ask is that you return the physical book to us. But once you hold it in your hands and see how useful this book is, I doubt you'll want to part with it. But the most important thing is, this book can help you live in a world without electricity, and you can't really put a price on that. You've seen what can happen even in a local disaster. Going to a FEMA camp is often a risky bet. Instead, you'll probably be better off living out a crisis from the security of your own home and on your own terms, where you are in charge and where you don't depend on anyone else. That is the definition of being self-sufficient and independent. You can start now. You can take your life and everything it depends on into your own hands. If you think about it, everything that you've done before in your life, family, job, love, the house you live in right now, the device you're watching this video on, and everything you have are yours because at some point in your life you took matters into your own hands. You said hi to the person who would become your partner. You went to that interview. You started saving to buy a house. Whatever action it was, you took it and you reaped the benefits. If you haven't realized it by now, no one will do the important things for you. So today, you can take matters into your own hands for one of the most important things in your life, your independence. Unfortunately, this book is printed in a limited edition, so I'm not sure how long it will be available. It's possible that when you'll need it most, you won't be able to get it. We've all seen how important items like food, gas, generators, batteries, seeds, and even toilet paper vanish in the first few hours or sometimes minutes of a disaster. What do you think will happen with a book like this in the next crisis? Many people already got No Grid survival projects. Not to use it immediately, but to have it in their house just in case. This book is not available in stores and can only be purchased from this website at this moment. So click now on that big yellow button below this video to get your original copy of No Grid survival projects and take that first step on the path towards becoming self-sufficient, independent, and ready for any crisis on your property and your terms. If we don't have any books left, you'll be notified when you click on the buy button. But if we still have at least one book for you, you will be taken to the checkout page that looks like this. The checkout page is fully encrypted and has the highest levels of security. As another measure of protection, our payment processor uses 3 important antivirus security programs on their checkout page: McAfee, Norton, and Secure Payments. This was Michael Major, author of No Grid Survival Projects. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe.